Welcome to another episode of The Lamp, brought to you by the Kokomo Lantern, Kokomo and Howard County's premier source for news, sports, and features. I am your publisher, Pat Munsey, but I want to talk to you about something that is very important to me, and I hope it'll be important to the entire community by the time we're done with it. And I'll just preface this is not me speaking on behalf of the Kokomo Lantern. This is me speaking on behalf of an organization that I am founding and leading along with a great group of individuals who share the same vision. And what I'm talking about is called A Mighty Noise. And it is a 3-day church revival and choir/praise and worship team competition that will take place this summer at the Howard County 4-H Fairgrounds. August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's set up where we will have 3 tents featuring churches putting on revivals every 90 minutes. So from Friday afternoon until Saturday night, in 3 different locations on the fairgrounds, you're going to have revival messages coming from churches. At the same time, we'll have 3 live stages, 2 of which will have a head-to-head choir/praise and worship team competition. And the third one will then be an open stage for choirs and individuals who want to sing and perform but don't want to be doing so in a competition mode. The idea there is the choirs will go head-to-head. They'll have 20 minutes each to sing 3 songs, and the winner is chosen by tithe. So there'll be buckets at the stages. You'll put the money into the bucket for the choir or group that you thought did the best, and the one with the largest number has the opportunity to move on to the next round. But the cool thing is both churches get to keep the tithe. So it's a bit of a fundraiser for those churches that want to take part, and I'm pretty happy about that. That will go on Friday night, all day Saturday, and it'll culminate then on Sunday with a big single event that'll happen right around lunchtime. 1 o'clock, I believe, is where we currently have it scheduled, where the final 4 choirs will each perform. The way that we have this set up is there will be 4 different brackets. You'll have a bracket for large and small churches, traditional and contemporary music, so that you don't have great mismatches in the competition portion. So the best in each one of those brackets then will perform on Sunday at our big wrap-up Mighty Noise presentation. Then, of course, like I said, we've got those tents with all of the revival churches. They'll each have an hour and a half, so you'll have time to get on and off, do an hour revival, pass the plate if you want to do it. But the whole idea is that we're all coming together, we're all being able to worship and fellowship in a single location. And of course, it's not just going to be revivals and choirs. We'll also have vendor booths and food trucks. We're putting together a children's area that Josiah Whites has been kind enough to spearhead. We're talking with some other organizations about bringing some other features in that I would love to talk about right now, but I don't have finalized because we're still kind of early in this process. But I hope that you'll mark August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on your calendars as something you might want to come and attend. It promises to be a great time of worship and celebration and praise, and it's nothing that I thought that I would ever do. But I've been a Christian since I was 9 years old, but for the past 15 years I hated the church. I didn't want anything to do with the church. I got tired of hearing politics from the pulpit, and I got tired of being told that I was living the wrong way when I didn't feel like I was. There were a number of excuses that I used to separate myself from the church. In my arrogance, I thought that I could worship God better on my own than I could going into a building with people who seemed to want to go out of their way to make me feel uncomfortable. It was my problem. It wasn't theirs. But I used that as an excuse for 15 years. Back in December of last year, my then girlfriend asked me if I would go back to church. And I decided that, yes, I would go back to church with her. And on December 10th of last year, I went back to Fuel Church. I'd never been to Fuel before. And I had a great time. And I immediately felt the Holy Spirit reconnect with me, which if you've never had that happen, I'm very sorry. If you have, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's an overwhelming sensation, and I felt like I was home again for the first time in 15 years. So excited about it. Had no idea what was coming up, but that reconnected with me just immediately. And I remember telling my girlfriend, "Man, I can't wait to come back the next week. I'm so happy that you convinced me to come back to church." It was really a life-changing moment for me, having no idea that just a few weeks later I was going to have an even bigger life-changing moment. Because the next week, as we returned to church, as I'm sitting there listening to the praise and worship team at Fuel, which they are fantastic, just great singers, great music, I'm thinking to myself, man, I just can't believe how good they are. And I'm thinking, man, we must have choirs like this all over the community, because we have a lot of big churches, and then I know they've got praise and worship teams. And I'm thinking about that, and God says to me very clearly, yes, we do, and you're going to bring them together. Now, it's been 17 years since I had heard God speak to me directly, and it was humbling. It rocked me, and I couldn't believe that I was hearing it. And of course, I didn't want to accept it, because how am I going to do that? How am I going to bring a bunch of choirs together? I don't know what he's talking about. That's not something I do. I've never put together an event of any kind of consequence that would be approaching that. I'll pass. And he said, "Oh, no, you won't. This is what you're going to do." And so for the next 5 minutes, as I'm sitting there listening to the praise and worship team at Fuel Church, he lays out this plan for a 3-day revival and choir competition. I still wasn't sold. I'm still just reconnecting with the church, and I can't believe that he would pick me, of all people, to try to pull something else like this off. So I said, it's great, God. I'm not even sure if I'm really listening to you right now, if this is happening. But thanks, and I'm going to pass. But it didn't go away. It wouldn't come off my mind. And so a couple days later, I was at an event, and Paul Wyman was there. And Paul puts together great events. I mean, he's the guy that keeps the Haynes-Apperson Festival going. So I thought if there's somebody who knew this business and knew what it took, it'd be Paul. So I pulled him aside and said, "Hey, Paul, I've got this crazy idea about a 3-day revival and choir competition. And I don't know what to do with it." And he just laughed at me. He said, "Oh, hey, that's quite a task there. You'll be lucky to get that done by 25. Good luck." That's not the response I was really hoping for. It was good luck. I was hoping for, "Man, that sounds great. Let me help you." I don't know why I thought that he would just suddenly jump on board, but I just kind of took that as, well, this is just a pipe dream. This isn't legitimate. But it is legitimate, and I had to learn the hard way. And those of you who have put God off know what that means. He stripped me down to the bedrock in a hurry. At the same time, because I didn't know what was in the plans, I didn't know what January was going to bring, Satan took an active hand and tried to end me before I even got started. So we'll go back to that December 10th when I'm in church and I'm feeling the Spirit again for the first time in 15 years, and I'm pretty overwhelmed. We leave there, and I'm heading out to my mom's house for lunch, because every Sunday I head out to my mom's house, and as a family we all get together and have lunch. My daughter, my granddaughter, my son-in-law, my sister and brother-in-law, we're all there. So I get there, and I'm talking to my mom how excited I was. I went back to church, and here's how I felt, and that's great. Well, my daughter and my granddaughter run a little bit late, and so we decided we'd go ahead and eat. And I sat down at the table, and it was a great meal, and I'm still just on a high from having the Spirit reconnect. And I decided I want seconds. This is great. So I get up, and I trip over my granddaughter's high chair and stumble across my mom's kitchen at a run and land left eye first into a kitchen counter. And immediately hit the ground. I've twisted my neck. When I hit the ground, I feel like I've bashed my skull in. I can't feel my right arm. I'm pretty sure that I just killed myself. And I'm just laying on the ground going, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I don't know how long I was down there. I don't think I lost consciousness, but there was a lot of pain and confusion. My sister and my brother-in-law got me up off the ground. Of course, it's a head injury, so there's a lot of blood. It's not a great scene. I'm thankful that my daughter and my granddaughter weren't there at that point. They take me in, they lay me on my mother's bed, and I'm just couldn't believe that this has happened. I may be done here. I can't feel an arm, and is that forever? And what does my head look like? Because it feels like I've caved my skull in. And all of a sudden I sat up, stood up. I'm fine, we're done with this. We're going to move on. There's pain there, but it's not really bothering me. I didn't realize that the entire time that I'm laying on the bed, just assuming that I'm dead, and then suddenly get up, my mother and my daughter are standing there praying over me. And God lifted me right back up. And so we cleaned me up, and I knew that it's Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I probably need to go to the ER, but I'm not insured at that point and didn't really want to incur a large bill at an ER just to be told, go to your doctor the next day so they can tell you the same thing. So I rolled the dice on the brain bleed. The wisdom of that, I suppose, is yet to be determined, and went the next day to the doctor. And of course, I've got to have an X-ray, and they probably need me to go to a spine specialist and a physical therapist and all these things. And I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. I don't have that. The Lantern is allowing me to eat, but not a whole lot else. Just to be honest. But that's okay. It's enough. As long as I don't bash my head into a kitchen counter. And then apparently it's not enough. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I have the X-rays. And I'm supposed to be at a United Way board meeting during this time. I tell Dana Neer, the CEO, I'm sorry, I can't make it there. I've had a head injury and things aren't great. And he says, well, can I let people know, why you're not there? So, yeah, that's fine. And so he does. And the board members start reaching out to me, which was wonderful, And one of them says, come and see me at my office. We're gonna try to take care of you. And so 2 days later, all of a sudden, I've got health insurance, and it was great that she helped me out like that. I couldn't believe it, and so I said, "This is wonderful. We'll go ahead and we'll do these procedures, and I'll do my best to pay what I can." And so I go to my physical therapy appointment. And I'd been told that I'd twisted 2 vertebrae in my neck, C5 and C6, which was worrisome because I already had a bulging disc there. And even though I was starting to get feeling back in my right arm, I was pretty sure I'd done some permanent damage, but it was getting better every day. And I get in there, and the physical therapist says, so why are you here? I said, well, I'm here because I've bashed my head in. I've got this scar right here to show for it. And, of course, it was a little more pronounced back then. And he said, well, I've got your chart here, I've got your x-rays, and it says here you've twisted C5 and C6. I said, yeah, that's what they tell me. He says, well, if you've done that, you twisted them perfectly back into alignment. There's no problem at that spot in your neck. I'm looking at him kind of blank. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, yeah, there's nothing wrong at C5 and C6. I said, well, I've got a bulging disc there. He goes, no, not anymore. So I just reconnected with the Lord after 15 years. And an hour after I do that, I'm looking at death in the face, thinking I've been stopped before I even got started. And yet a miracle happens right afterwards. And I don't have any explanation for that. Who fixes their neck by smashing their face full force into a kitchen counter? It just isn't medically advisable, at the very least. I can tell you I didn't enjoy it. But I accept it. But it wasn't enough. Even with that, I'm not getting that I need to do this 3-day event. And so the next thing that happens is my girlfriend leaves me. Just a couple weeks after she brings me back to church, she decides she needs to go into another direction. And I'm not surprised by that, and I'm not hurt by that, because I know that, like most of the relationships I've had in my life, I didn't do them the way God wanted them done. I didn't do them according to His will, and I shouldn't have had any expectation that they would work. So that's not her fault, and we didn't break up in bad terms. And I still love her as a person, and I'm forever grateful that she helped get me back to Christ. But it was in that moment when she decided that she needed to part with me that God said, now it's time to speak to Pat. So the day after a breakup, you know how that feels. You're empty inside and you feel burnt, and just nothing works right. And I spent that entire day after that in that mode, thinking this is my life for the next few months. I've got a head injury and I've lost my girlfriend, and oh, pitiful me. Oh, how horrible for me. And my mom calls me out of the blue and says, hey, I need to talk to you. I said, oh, so what's wrong, Mom? What's going on? She goes, no. I have something to say to you. And for the next 20 minutes, Christ spoke directly to me through my mother. And He laid out exactly what needed to happen in my life so that I could put on his 3-day revival and choir competition. But it was more important than that. It was, I had picked up cigarettes again, and I had quit 3 times before and let it grab me again, and I didn't think I'd find a way out. Quit them right there on the spot. Haven't had one since, and I'm praying to God that I never will again. I started exercising again. I changed my diet. Now I'm going back to the doctor. I get blood pressure medication. I'm feeling better. I've lost 30 pounds this year already, and it's not because I'm not eating or wasting away. I'm just working on me, because God said, if you do these things, you'll be able to put on a mighty noise for the next 30 years. And so that's my plan, is that He's taken me down to the bedrock and shown me the way to rebuild my life the way that He wants it built, and we're going to do this. And so I hope that you'll show up on August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, not only to praise and worship our Lord and enjoy the fellowship of hopefully around thousands of like-minded individuals, but also to celebrate with me how great our Lord is and how He can work in your life in just unexpected and amazing ways. I hope you get something out of this weekend. I know I'm going to, and I'm going to have more information as we put this together. I've got a great team. If you want to be a part of what we're doing, all you have to do is email me at amightynoise@gmail.com. We're meeting regularly right now. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for vendors. We're looking for churches that are interested in having revival time. We're looking for choirs that are interested to either perform on our showcase stage or in the competition. We're just looking for people who want to be a part of what I think is going to be a great event. We have a Facebook page up and running. It's A Mighty Noise. You'll find it. You can go ahead and join that. We've got applications on there for vendors and for churches and things like that. More information will be available there. And as we get things more secured, we'll have more to tell you about. But expect 3 days of just a great celebration and praise. And I'd love to tell you how it all wraps up with our big Sunday event that'll start at 1 o'clock, but there's a bit of a surprise there that I don't want to let out of the bag. But believe me, I'm completely convinced that if you attend the first one, you're going to want to be at the next one. I want this to be an annual event. I want this to be something that everyone enjoys. So thank you for indulging me and listening to me for as long as I've just talked. If you have any questions at all, please email us. Again, mightynoise@gmail.com. Follow or join the page so that you can stay informed on that. If you are a church that wants to get involved, please reach out to us. If you have a food truck, please reach out to us. If you think there's something that the Lord is leading you to do in connection with this, please reach out to us. We want to hear it, and we want to include you. So thank you again for your time, and God bless you. And thank you for reading the Kokomo Lantern. You all mean a lot to me. You always have. I'm so blessed to be here. So thank you.